President Trump's executive orders on immigration and national security have been met with strong opposition around the country. That includes high-profile opposition from some of the nation's mayors, including Boston Mayor Marty Walsh. To talk about the city's response to the new policies is the director of the Office of Immigrant Advancement, Alejandra St. Guillen. Thank you very much for being with us, Alejandra.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, start with the earlier order last week about immigrant detentions if they're unauthorized. What can be done as far as turning them over to federal enforcement? Why is Mayor Walsh so concerned about this?
Sure. Well, Mayor Walsh, first and foremost, is the son of immigrants, and as the mayor of the city of Boston, really sees immigrants as an integral part of our society and our city, and what they bring to the culture as well as the economic development is unrivaled, and he understands that. So he understands he's a mayor for the whole city, and that has really fueled his passion. In terms of the first executive orders that were signed on Wednesday, one was in particular to the wall on the border, and the other was on creating a plan to defund what are called quote-unquote sanctuary cities, which are basically cities that do not comply with ICE detainers. This does not mean that Boston is a city that does not work with our federal officials. We absolutely do. It does not mean that we don't communicate with them. We absolutely do. It just means that we won't hold someone any longer than we would normally hold them unless they have a judicial warrant. But that doesn't limit communications, and it also doesn't limit ICE from coming and getting that person at any time that they're in custody.
So, in other words, you're saying that let's say someone gets stopped at in a traffic situation. Yep. And the police check out, and there's something really disturbing in that person's record. That person can be held, treated like a criminal.
Right? You know, when someone's, I mean, the way that it works is that you get fingerprinted, and once you're fingerprinted, your fingerprints go to the FBI, and they also go directly to Homeland Security. So that's information that is gathered while the person is still in custody. And if it is a serious crime, or they're being wanted or held on other criminal activity, then yes, they will continue to be held, just like anyone of any status would be held once they were pulled over. But we're just saying, if someone's pulled over for a traffic violation and they get arrested because they're driving without a license, because we don't have licenses for undocumented in Massachusetts, then and their fingerprints go through, and ICE says, can you hold them for an extra 48 hours? Well, no, we won't hold them for an extra 48 hours. They can come and get them at any time, or they'll be released. You know,
this is a city in which more than a quarter of the population comes originally from another country.
Yes.
You know, you've probably got a number of people who are unauthorized at the moment, at least. What do you hear out there about how people are taking this in from Washington?
Well, people are very fearful. Well, people are very angry about the funding, and think that it's not right for the president to threaten the funding that really drives our cities and our schools and our economic development and public health. That is not something that we find is within the bounds of the law, within the authority of the president to do, and people are upset about that. Immigrants themselves, both documented and undocumented, are fearful. Remember, there are many mixed household families, so although
mixed meaning some have legal status, some do not.
Some do not, or they have different types of status. In our Boston public schools, nearly half of our students have at least one foreign-born parent. So and most of the students are American-born. So there's a lot. There's just a lot of fear about there, being widespread raids. That there's opportunity for people to get caught up and separated from their families, and that with the rhetoric of the campaign and now the executive orders that are being signed, that only serves to drive the fear a little bit more.
It was only a year or two ago that the city was trying to help some of the unauthorized immigrants who were within a certain age to sign up for possible waivers under President Obama.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to them now?
Yeah. So we don't. So there's yet to be a decision on DACA. That's what we call a deferred action for childhood arrivals. There we're preparing for it to be discontinued, meaning, whoever has it now will have it until it expires because it needs to be renewed every 2 years. The administration has been kind of quieter than we had anticipated on that route. But it just seems like things are coming out, every few days. And so we're fully, anticipating what might happen on that front and how we're going to best serve those students.
We're talking with Alejandra St from the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Advancement. Yesterday, the mayor was also at that demonstration against the travel bans.
Yep.
And, originally people might think, well, that couldn't affect that many people here, but the outcry, I mean, not just immigrant advocates, but the universities too.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge percent of our doctors, of our those in the sciences, our business owners. Nearly a quarter of business owners are opened by people who are immigrants, and thinking that the people who are coming, the refugees, so those who are refugees who are coming have been vetted through an extreme process. They talk about extreme vetting that already exists. And then also, another really troubling is looking at people, green card holders. These are legal permanent residents, people who live in, work and have families here in the United States, and also visa holders for our doctors and our scientists, and to be, people who were in the air when the executive order was signed, and to have their visas then discontinued when they landed for the only reason of being from one of the 7 countries that are listed on the ban. It is unconstitutional, which we have seen and has been proven, which is why we were able to get an injunction in court, in federal court. ACLU did an amazing job with that, and in courts across the nation, but so it's just it sends a really bad message. It economically doesn't make any sense, and it just drives and that's why you saw so many people there yesterday, because those who are impacted and those are made to feel. I remember, hearing, people saying, "Why should I feel less American because I am an immigrant from Syria? I come here, I pay taxes, I work, I raise my kids are American-born. I'm just as American as anybody else." And so that, it's a real assault on American values when these types of actions are taken.
Yeah, you were there at Copley Square. You were probably one of many people who must have realized this is pretty much the same location as the Marathon bombing almost 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think that incident, I don't know whether it's been directly or tangentially invoked, is part of the rationale. Yeah,
no, and it's interesting. I hadn't thought of it until we were right there. And people tweeted about it and Facebooked about it, and really noted, listen, this is where, of any of the cities who should be fearful, Boston and New York, and those are 2 of the mayors who are coming out the strongest against these executive actions, because we understand that we want to keep our cities safe, and these types of actions actually are a threat to national security, a threat to our cities, and that's why why we'll stand at the sacred ground of where we lost three of our own and say, we don't stand up for hate. We don't stand up. We stand up for welcoming all and inclusiveness.
The mayor has said that possibly as a last resort, City Hall might be a sanctuary. It looks like a tough thing to bring off.
That's something that we look to as a last result. That's we don't think that we'll get to that point where people are going to need it. He is very passionate, and he remains to be passionate, and he is a mayor who stands by his values in every single room. It doesn't matter who the audience is. He holds his values, he holds his convictions, and he's going to reiterate those, and he's reiterated that over and over again, which makes me particularly proud to be part of his administration.
Well, in the meantime, I'm sure there are people out there with questions, especially immigrants, so if they want to get some help from you around this, is there any way they can get in touch?
They should call 311. That is our constituent line, and they'll link us directly to our office, but that's the easiest one for people. 311.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you so much, Chris.
From the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Advancement, Alejandra St. In a moment, workers responding to the president's choice for Secretary of Labor. But first, this message.